Imagine this. Your entire reality is not solid. It's fluid, a living projection shaped by what you believe yourself to be. And until you let go of that old version, the version full of doubt, fear, and hesitation, the universe cannot rearrange itself around your new frequency. The quantum shift isn't about doing more, it's about becoming less attached to the illusion of who you think you are. Because every time you cling to an old identity, you're anchoring yourself in a past vibration that no longer matches your potential future. The shift begins the moment you kill the old you. In quantum physics, everything exists in a state of infinite possibility until it's observed. Imagine this before you look at it. Every atom, every particle, every situation in your life is suspended in a wave of potential. It could become anything. It could unfold in 1,000 different directions. It's not fixed. It's waiting. But the moment you focus your attention on it, the moment you observe, that infinite field collapses into one concrete reality. This isn't just theory. It's a reflection of how your own consciousness interacts with the universe. Your observation doesn't merely witness reality, it actively shapes it. You are not a passive participant in life. You are a creator within it. Every thought you think, every belief you hold, every emotion you repeat is a form of observation. And each time you observe through a certain frequency, whether it's fear, hope, or faith, you're instructing the quantum field on what version of reality to crystallize. Think of your mind as a projector and the world as the screen. The image you see out there is nothing more than a reflection of what's being played from within. If you keep playing the same old film, the same story of who you think you are, the universe has no choice but to project the same experience back to you. That's the power and the responsibility of consciousness. When you keep observing yourself through the lens of your past, your old habits, your old failures, your old story, you are literally commanding the universe to keep recreating the same loop. You're not stuck because the universe is against you. You're stuck because your observation hasn't changed. You're still seeing yourself as the person who failed, the person who was rejected, the person who couldn't rise above their circumstances. The universe, obediently responding to your energetic instruction, mirrors that same identity in everything you encounter. It's not personal, it's physics. The field listens to the observer. It doesn't care whether your belief is empowering or destructive, it only reflects it back. That's why personal transformation isn't about changing the outer world first. You can change jobs, cities, or relationships, but if you bring the same observer, the same mind, into those spaces, you'll recreate the same patterns in new forms. The faces change, but the experience repeats. Because the outer world is only the echo of your inner one. The quantum field responds to vibration, not location. It listens to frequency, not language. You could shout your desires to the universe every day, but if your vibration still carries the frequency of lack, it will only deliver more of what you believe you don't have. Think about it like tuning into a radio station. The frequency you set determines the music you hear. If you're tuned into the frequency of fear, you can't hear the song of abundance, no matter how loudly you wish for it. You have to change the dial. And in quantum terms, that dial is your consciousness. When you shift the way you observe, when you begin to see yourself not as the victim of reality, but as its co-creator, the entire song of your life begins to change. New experiences, new synchronicities, new opportunities begin to emerge because your observation has aligned with a new possibility in the field. This is why ancient wisdom and modern science quietly agree on one thing: reality mirrors the observer. The Buddha said, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." The physicist Max Planck said, "Mind is the matrix of all matter." Two different languages pointing to the same truth. Consciousness precedes form. The world you see is not happening to you. It's happening through you. Every moment you interpret life through the lens of your past, you're reactivating that old vibration. You're summoning old energy into new moments. The memories you replay, the identities you defend, the stories you tell yourself, they are all acts of quantum observation. And with every act of observation, the universe says, so be it. You might say, but I can't help how I feel. My past really happened. Yes, it did. But the energy of that past only exists because you keep bringing it into the present with your attention. The moment you stop emotionally investing in who you were, that version begins to dissolve. Just like a wave collapsing into a particle, your past only has form when you give it focus. Without your observation, it loses structure. It becomes nothing more than a faint vibration in the quantum field. That's how powerful you are. You can literally uncreate your suffering by refusing to energize it with attention. Most people never experience a true quantum shift because they're addicted to being the observer of their old self. They've built their identity around pain, and pain becomes familiar. The mind clings to what it knows, even if it hurts. But nothing new can emerge until you stop feeding the old story. To create a new future, you must stop being a loyal observer of your past. You must allow that old frequency to die, not by fighting it, but by no longer identifying with it. The quantum shift doesn't happen because you do something different. It happens because you see differently. You stop looking at life through the lens of limitation. You stop calling yourself unlucky or broken. You begin to act, think, and feel as if the version of you you're becoming already exists, because in the quantum field, it already does. All versions of you, the confident one, the healed one, the free one, are already alive in different probabilities. The moment you shift your observation to match that version, you collapse that timeline into your reality. That is the essence of manifestation. Not wishful thinking, not affirmations shouted into the void, but the internal decision to observe from a higher state of consciousness. You are no longer observing life from the lens of lack, but from the lens of being complete. You are no longer begging reality to change. You are embodying the vibration that makes change inevitable. The universe can only mirror what you broadcast. When your frequency changes, your world must follow. So the first step toward a quantum shift isn't to change the environment, it's to change the observer. It's to awaken the part of you that realizes you are not your thoughts, your memories, or your fears. You are the awareness behind them. You are the silent field observing it all. When you begin to identify with that awareness instead of the old story, the entire structure of your life begins to rearrange. Your relationships evolve, your habits transform, your energy expands. The same world, but a new vibration. The same people, but a new perception. This is the secret hidden in plain sight. Reality bends to the quality of your consciousness. The external world is nothing more than the reflection of the internal observer. Once you understand this, you stop chasing external change and begin cultivating internal alignment. Because the moment you truly become the observer of a higher possibility, the universe will have no choice but to match it. And that's where the quantum shift begins, not outside, not later, but the instant you let go of the old observer and finally see yourself as the one creating it all. In the quantum world, energy doesn't just move randomly, it responds. Everything around you, from the chair you sit on to the thoughts passing through your mind, is energy vibrating at different frequencies. That's why your inner state matters more than anything external. Your emotions, thoughts, and self-image constantly broadcast a signal into the quantum field, and that signal is what the universe mirrors back. When you wake up feeling small, uncertain, or undeserving, your energy contracts. You emit a vibration that tells the universe, "I'm not ready yet." And reality, being obedient to consciousness, rearranges itself to confirm that belief. But when you decide, truly decide to embody the version of you who already has peace, power, and clarity, something profound happens. The field begins to shift. Everything you experience is filtered through the identity you hold. Think of it like wearing tinted glasses. If your lenses are dark, the world appears dark. If they're clear, the world looks bright. The lens isn't reality itself, it's your perception of it. In quantum terms, this lens is your energetic identity. It's how your consciousness interacts with the field. If you still see yourself as the person who struggles, the person who fails, or the person who never gets the chance, you continue to resonate with that old pattern. The frequency of limitation becomes your home channel. The quantum field doesn't judge or discriminate, it simply reflects back your dominant vibration. So if you want a new outcome, you must first become a new observer, one who vibrates in alignment with expansion, not contraction. This is why transformation feels uncomfortable. You're not just changing your habits, you're changing your energetic state. You're detaching from an old frequency that has kept you safe but small. It's like trying to tune into a new radio station while the old one keeps pulling you back. The static you feel, that resistance, that doubt, is simply the clash between your new vibration and your old self trying to survive. Because the ego fears annihilation, it will whisper that change is dangerous. It will convince you that the unknown isn't safe. But the truth is, the unknown is the only place where quantum creation can happen. The old frequency can't create a new reality. You can't bring your old self into a higher timeline. To experience a quantum shift, you must stop negotiating with your past. Every time you recall your failures, replay your regrets, or seek validation for your worth, you reactivate the old frequency. You tell the universe, "This is still me." And so, the same experiences repeat, not because you're cursed or unlucky, but because your energetic broadcast hasn't changed. You are both the signal and the receiver. Change the signal, and you change what you receive. Energy follows identity. If your energy says, "I'm the person who always struggles," then the universe, being a mirror of pure intelligence, says, "As you wish." But the moment your energy says, "I am calm, powerful, aligned," the field begins rearranging itself to support that new identity. You'll start noticing synchronicities, the right people appearing, new opportunities opening, doors you thought were closed suddenly unlocking. It's not luck, it's resonance. You've stopped trying to change things on the surface and started changing at the level of being. The key is embodiment. Don't wait for proof to believe. Don't wait for success to feel worthy. Believe first, embody first, and the proof will follow. In the quantum field, you can't fake vibration. You either emit it or you don't. Pretending won't move energy, but genuine belief will. When your inner frequency aligns with your desired outcome, the universe must respond. It's not philosophy, it's physics. The field reacts to coherence, to emotional harmony between your thoughts and your energy. When what you think, feel, and believe all agree, your electromagnetic signal becomes powerful enough to bend probabilities. So stop asking, "When will it happen?" and start asking, "Who must I become for it to already be true?" Because the future version of you, the one who's peaceful, successful, and free, already exists in another layer of reality. You don't have to chase it. You have to match it. You have to vibrate at the same frequency as that reality so it can merge with your current one. That's what a quantum shift really is. Not magic, not luck, but the meeting point between a new identity and the energy that's always been waiting to serve it. You were never meant to stay static. Energy evolves, consciousness expands. When you stop identifying as the old version of yourself, you stop broadcasting the signal that kept you stuck. You stop sending the universe mixed messages. You become clear, and clarity is magnetic. The field doesn't resist clarity, it flows toward it. Every quantum particle, every wave of energy organizes itself around that vibration. And the moment you align with that clarity, your environment begins to reshape effortlessly. That's why people who seem lucky aren't really lucky. They're aligned. They've killed the old self that vibrated in fear, and they've become the observer who knows that energy responds to certainty. They walk through life with quiet conviction, and the universe bends around their confidence. This isn't arrogance, it's resonance. They no longer seek proof because they've become the proof. You can do the same. Start by becoming aware of the energy you radiate when you think of your future. Do you feel expansion or contraction? Hope or hesitation? That feeling is your vibration, and your vibration is your command to the universe. Train yourself to feel the frequency of already having what you desire. Walk, talk, and move as if your dream reality is already your current one. The universe is listening, not to your words, but to your energy. The old you can't enter the new world. The frequency that created your problems cannot manifest your peace. You must release it. With love, with gratitude, with trust. The universe doesn't punish you for who you were. It simply waits for you to stop identifying with it. Because the moment you do, all the doors that seemed closed will open. That's when you'll understand the quantum shift never came from outside. It was always waiting within, behind the old identity, ready to emerge the second you decided to let it go. In the quantum field, every potential version of your life already exists. Every success, every healing, every transformation, all of them are there, floating in possibility, waiting for you to align your energy with one of them. This is what scientists call the wave function, a cloud of infinite probabilities. Your future isn't written in stone, it's written in energy, and energy responds to attention. The moment you focus on a specific possibility with belief and emotion, you collapse that wave into a physical event. You bring that version of reality out of the field and into form. But here's the catch. You can't collapse a new reality while still being emotionally addicted to the old one. You can't live in both frequencies at once. You have to choose which version of yourself you're going to energize. That's where most people get stuck. They want a new life, but they keep feeding the old identity. They keep rehearsing their pain, repeating their failures, and defending their limitations. They say they want change, but their emotions keep signaling the same past vibration into the field. And the universe, always faithful, keeps reflecting that back. Because in the quantum world, the field doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you mean. It listens to your energy, not your words. So if your energy says, "I'm still the same person I was yesterday," that's the reality you'll continue to experience. To truly collapse a new wave function, you must withdraw your energy from the old version of yourself. That means no longer telling the same story, no longer seeking sympathy for the same wounds, and no longer reacting from the same patterns. This doesn't mean you deny your past, it means you stop identifying with it. The person who lived that story served their purpose. They carried you this far. But now, to step into a new vibration, you must release them with love. You have to let their energy dissolve back into the field so something new can take its place. This is what spiritual masters call dying before you die. It's not physical death, it's the death of the energetic attachment to who you were. Imagine your old self as a frequency you've outgrown. You can still hear its echo, still feel its pull, but it no longer fits, like an old song that once defined your life, but now feels foreign. The vibration fades the moment you stop replaying it. When you stop reacting to triggers, stop chasing validation, stop revisiting pain, that song loses its power. You've stopped broadcasting it into the quantum field, and without your attention, it collapses. In its place, silence emerges, a space of pure potential. And from that silence, a new frequency is born. This is how the quantum shift happens. It's not about forcing your way into a new reality. It's about withdrawing energy from the old one. When you no longer feed your past with attention, its timeline dissolves. The energy you once used to sustain it becomes available for creation. You start feeling lighter, clearer, and more present. You notice synchronicities that seem too perfect to be random. You begin meeting people whose energy matches your new frequency. These aren't coincidences, they're reflections. The universe always rearranges itself to match the vibration of the observer. Every time you remember your past differently, you're performing an act of quantum collapse. You're rewriting the frequency of that memory. Instead of reliving pain, you begin to extract wisdom. Instead of replaying loss, you start recognizing growth. Your energy no longer vibrates at the frequency of suffering. It vibrates at the frequency of evolution. And that shift changes everything. When ancient mystics spoke of rebirth, this is what they meant. They weren't talking about reincarnation in another body. They were describing the transformation of consciousness within this one. The moment you release your attachment to the old story, you experience death and resurrection at the same time. You die to your past identity and are reborn as pure awareness, the observer behind all versions of you. That's the real you. The consciousness that creates worlds just by focusing its attention. In quantum physics, this is not philosophy, it's law. The observer changes the observed. The act of observation collapses potential into form. The key is that observation is not just visual, it's emotional and energetic. Your feelings are the true observers. They tell the universe what's real to you. If you feel unworthy, you're observing a universe where unworthiness exists. But if you feel complete, peaceful, and abundant, even before you see evidence, you're observing a universe where that wholeness is already true. And that universe must appear to match your feeling. So if you want to experience a new reality, you must stop emotionally reacting to the old one. Stop defending your wounds. Stop identifying with lack. Every time you talk about your limits, you breathe life into them. Instead, begin to act as though the old frequency no longer exists, not with arrogance, but with quiet certainty. Because the moment you do, the quantum field responds. It collapses the old probabilities and opens a new one that aligns with your upgraded vibration. And here's the beauty of it. You don't have to know how it will happen. You only need to sustain the frequency of belief long enough for the field to synchronize with it. The universe will handle the mechanics. Energy always follows the path of coherence. When your heart and mind agree on a new reality, everything around you begins to reorganize to make it real. The right opportunities, the right people, even the right timing all flow in effortlessly because they are part of that new vibration. This is the moment where science and spirituality meet. The quantum field, which scientists describe as the foundation of all matter, is the same field mystics have called consciousness, spirit, or divine intelligence. It's not separate from you. It is you. You are the field observing itself through the lens of a temporary identity. And when that identity no longer serves the expansion of your consciousness, the universe invites you to shed it. Letting go isn't a loss. It's a return to flow. It's the collapse of limitation and the rebirth of possibility. The quantum shift is not somewhere you go. It's a state you enter. It happens when you finally stop trying to fix the old version of yourself and instead surrender to the truth that you were never broken to begin with. You were only identifying with a lower frequency of who you are. Once you understand this, life becomes play. You begin to move through your days not as a prisoner of the past, but as a conscious creator in the present. Every moment becomes a chance to choose a new vibration, to collapse a new version of reality. You stop waiting for miracles because you realize the miracle is you. The field doesn't need convincing. It needs alignment. And alignment begins the instant you let go of who you were and step boldly into the vibration of who you're meant to be. Consciousness is the true field, the invisible fabric that everything else emerges from. Modern science calls it the quantum field, mystics call it divine awareness, and ancient wisdom calls it the one mind. Whatever name you choose, it's the same truth. All matter, all time, and all space exist within consciousness. You are not inside the universe. The universe is inside you. Every star, every thought, every heartbeat is a vibration within the same infinite awareness observing itself. And when you begin to understand this not intellectually, but experientially, your entire perception of life begins to transform. You stop seeing yourself as a separate being trying to survive, and you begin to realize you are the field itself, temporarily expressing as a human form. Everything you see as out there is a reflection of what's happening in here. You are both the projector and the screen. Your consciousness is the light, and your experiences are the shadows it casts. The walls, the people, the situations, all are patterns of energy arising from the same source field that you are made of. That means your consciousness isn't just interacting with reality, it's generating it. The universe is not random. It's responsive. It mirrors the dominant vibration of the consciousness that perceives it. This is why spiritual masters across centuries said, "As within, so without," because the outer world cannot help but match the state of the inner observer. When you understand that consciousness is primary, you stop chasing change through external means. You stop trying to manipulate circumstances and start mastering vibration. You realize that every attempt to control something out there is an illusion, because the true origin of every event, every opportunity, every challenge begins in the unseen field within you. That's where creation starts, not in effort, but in alignment. When your internal field resonates in harmony, the quantum field reflects that coherence as ease, flow, and synchronicity. When your field is fragmented with doubt, fear, and resistance, the universe appears chaotic and unkind. But it's not punishing you, it's mirroring you. This is why people who live in gratitude seem to attract blessings effortlessly, while those who live in resentment seem trapped in endless conflict. It's not luck, it's resonance. Consciousness vibrates on frequencies, and each frequency carries a different quality of experience. Gratitude aligns you with abundance. Compassion aligns you with healing. Fear aligns you with limitation. The universe does not choose favorites. It simply amplifies whatever you choose to focus on. Every thought you hold with emotional intensity becomes a command to the quantum field, shaping the pattern of your life moment by moment. Now imagine if you fully accepted that everything you experience, every delay, every success, every heartbreak is your consciousness in motion, that nothing happens to you but through you. Suddenly blame dissolves. Judgment fades. You begin to move from reaction to creation. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this showing me about my vibration?" That single shift from victim to observer changes everything, because the observer isn't trapped by the story. The observer sees through it. The observer knows that even pain has purpose, that every wave returning to the ocean was always the ocean itself. This understanding isn't about detachment from life, it's about deeper participation in it. When you awaken to the truth that you are consciousness, you begin to play the game of creation consciously. You stop taking illusions personally. The insults, the failures, the losses, they no longer define you because you recognize them as temporary waves in an infinite sea of awareness. You start moving through challenges not with resistance, but with curiosity. You begin to say, "If I created this experience unconsciously, I can recreate it consciously." And that realization gives you back your power. Every ancient tradition pointed toward this same realization. In Vedanta, they said Atman is Brahman, the soul is the universe. In Sufism, Rumi whispered, You are not a drop in the ocean. You are the entire ocean in a drop. In Zen, they taught that enlightenment is simply the recognition of your true nature, pure awareness beyond form. And in quantum physics, the same truth emerges in a different language. The observer and the observed are inseparable. You cannot measure a system without influencing it. Reality does not exist independently of consciousness. It is woven from it. This means that your consciousness is not local. It's not confined to your body or brain. It's non-local, infinite, and interconnected with everything that exists. Your awareness is part of the same field that guides galaxies, moves tides, and births stars. You are literally made of the same intelligence that orchestrates the cosmos. When you feel inspiration, intuition, or sudden insight, that's the field communicating with itself through you. You are not thinking those thoughts. You are receiving them. They arise from the same source that governs the spin of electrons and the rhythm of your heartbeat. The illusion of separation is the greatest obstacle to a quantum shift. The old you believes it is small, limited, and isolated, a single fragment in a vast, uncaring universe. But the truth is, there was never a you separate from the whole. You are the universe becoming aware of itself. You are consciousness looking into the mirror of its own creation. When you finally understand this, fear begins to dissolve. You stop clinging, stop grasping, stop trying to control every detail, because you realize you're already being carried by the intelligence of the field itself. Letting go, then, isn't a loss of control. It's the recognition that control was never needed. You are not meant to push the river. You are the river. The flow of life is not against you. It is you. When you let go of resistance, you don't lose power. You merge with the greatest power there is, the creative intelligence of the field. That's when life begins to unfold with effortless precision. You meet the right people without forcing it. The right opportunities appear without struggle. You start trusting timing instead of fearing delay. You begin to sense that every event is perfectly orchestrated by the same consciousness you carry within. In that state of awareness, peace is not something you pursue, it's something you remember. Love is not something you seek, it's the essence of the field itself. The more you rest in that recognition, the less you fear change, because you understand that nothing real can ever be lost. The old you dissolves, but consciousness remains, infinite, timeless, unshaken. This is why ancient sages could sit in silence for days and feel more alive than those running after success. They had tuned themselves to the source, the hum of creation beneath all noise. Once you live from this place, life becomes beautifully simple. You no longer chase outcomes, you align with energy. You no longer beg the universe. You move as it. You understand that manifestation is not about attracting things but becoming the field that those things naturally flow to. You start speaking less and listening more, not to others, but to the quiet guidance of the field within. And the more you listen, the more clearly you can feel the pulse of creation moving through you. So when you hear that consciousness is the true field, remember, it's not an abstract idea. It's the most intimate truth of your existence. You are consciousness. You are the field through which universes are born. When you stop identifying as the limited self and start recognizing yourself as awareness itself, the boundaries between you and life disappear. You no longer ask for the quantum shift. You become it, because in truth, the field has never moved. Only your perception of it has changed. And in that realization lies ultimate freedom, the understanding that you were never becoming anything new. You were simply remembering what you've been all along, infinite, aware, and eternal. Letting go is not weakness, it's the ultimate act of creation. In a world that teaches us to hold on tightly to everything, to our goals, our pain, our identities, letting go feels unnatural, even frightening. But in the language of the quantum field, letting go is the signal of mastery. It's not resignation, it's realignment. It's the moment when you stop trying to control the flow of energy and instead allow it to move through you freely. Every time you let go of attachment, you release resistance, and resistance is the only thing that ever blocks your reality from shifting. The universe doesn't withhold anything from you, it simply waits until your energy becomes open enough to receive. To understand why letting go is so powerful, imagine that you are holding a handful of sand. The tighter you grip, the more it slips through your fingers. But when you open your palm, the sand remains effortlessly. That's how energy works. The more you cling to outcomes, people, fears, or identities, the more the flow of creation escapes you. When you hold too tightly to control, your frequency contracts. And when your frequency contracts, the quantum field cannot mirror abundance or freedom because your vibration is broadcasting lack and fear. The universe doesn't respond to what you want, it responds to what you are. And what you are, energetically, is revealed by what you're willing to let go of. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop fearing. You stop forcing life to happen in a certain way and start trusting that the field knows more than your limited perspective ever could. The quantum field contains infinite intelligence. It arranges galaxies, forms DNA, guides the growth of every leaf and the movement of every tide. That same intelligence flows through you. When you release your obsessive need to control the how and when, you step back into harmony with that intelligence. You become the still point within the movement of creation. The old self doesn't like this process because the old self thrives on certainty and control. It fears surrender because it believes letting go equals losing power. But in truth, the opposite is real. Letting go gives you access to true power. When you surrender, you merge with the universal flow, and that flow can accomplish what your mind never could. The mind plans, but consciousness allows. The mind calculates, but the field orchestrates. And when you allow the field to take over, you find that things begin to align far more smoothly than they ever did when you were struggling to force them. Consider what happens in nature. Rivers don't strain to reach the ocean, they simply flow. Trees don't fight to grow, they rise naturally toward the light. The sun doesn't worry whether it will rise tomorrow, it just does. The universe operates on effortless intelligence. And yet humans, the most conscious expression of that intelligence, are the only ones who forget how to trust it. We cling to ideas, timelines, and fears because we think control equals safety. But control is an illusion. Safety doesn't come from certainty, it comes from alignment. Once you trust that everything happening is part of a larger coherence, you stop trying to force outcomes and begin allowing miracles. The quantum field responds instantly to openness. Letting go is like removing static from a signal. When you release doubt, fear, and attachment, your energy becomes clear. And the moment your vibration clears, the field can respond without distortion. You begin to attract experiences that are coherent with your new clarity. This is why sometimes, right after you finally let go of something you've been obsessing over, a job, a person, a dream, that very thing or something even better arrives effortlessly. It's not coincidence. It's the law of resonance. You stopped vibrating in need, and you started vibrating in trust. Letting go is not about inaction. It's about interaction. It's about moving your focus from forcing outcomes to aligning your state of being. When you align your state, when your thoughts, emotions, and intentions resonate together in calm harmony, reality has no choice but to match that frequency. You become a magnet for ease, clarity, and expansion. The moment you release the desperate energy of "I need this to happen," you signal to the universe that you already have it energetically. And because energy precedes matter, the physical manifestation naturally follows. In ancient teachings, surrender has always been seen as the bridge between human effort and divine intelligence. The Bhagavad Gita calls it acting without attachment to results. The Tao Te Ching calls it Wu Wei, effortless action. And in the language of quantum physics, it's the release of energetic interference. The same truth, dressed in different words. Once you stop resisting, the field aligns. Once you stop doubting, the wave collapses in your favor. The irony is that most people let go only when they've exhausted every other option, when they're tired, broken, and out of control. But you don't have to wait for collapse to experience surrender. You can choose it consciously. You can train your energy to trust before circumstances demand it. This means you start practicing non-resistance in small ways. When plans change, instead of panicking, you breathe and remind yourself that the field is rearranging for your highest path. When someone leaves, you trust that space is being made for someone more aligned. When you lose something, you remind yourself that the universe never subtracts without preparing to multiply. As you live this way, letting go becomes less about loss and more about liberation. You start to feel lighter because you're no longer carrying the emotional weight of control. Your nervous system calms down. You begin to live from a place of openness and curiosity rather than anxiety and fear. The unknown stops feeling like danger and starts feeling like possibility. You realize that letting go is not falling, it's flying. It's the moment when your wings finally open because you're no longer clutching the ground of the past. And what's extraordinary is that once you truly let go, you begin to witness how perfectly life arranges itself. Doors open that logic could never have planned. People arrive with the exact words you needed to hear. The right timing reveals itself again and again. The quantum field is not mechanical. It's intelligent. It listens to the vibration of your heart more than the noise of your thoughts. When your heart is at peace, your life moves in rhythm with that peace. Letting go is the bridge between the limited self and the infinite one. It's the act of stepping aside so the higher intelligence of the field can take over. When you let go of who you think you must be, you make space for who you truly are to emerge. You become an open channel for creation, no longer confined by the old identity that clung to control. You move from fear to faith, from chaos to coherence. So the next time you feel things slipping away, remember, nothing real can ever be lost. Energy cannot disappear, it only transforms. When one chapter closes, it's because your vibration is shifting to a new one. Don't chase what's leaving. Bless it. Don't fear what's coming. Trust it, because the universe is never taking from you, it's responding to you. And when your response is surrender, when your energy says, I trust, the field opens wide. That's the true quantum trigger, the moment the infinite intelligence of the universe finally has permission to flow through you, unblocked, unforced, and unstoppable. When you finally understand what the quantum shift truly means, you realize it was never about becoming something new. It was about remembering what you've always been. You were never a random accident in a chaotic universe. You are consciousness, energy, awareness, an infinite wave that temporarily took human form to experience growth, love, and transformation. The old you, the one built from fear, limitation, and memory, was never who you truly were. It was only a costume, a temporary vibration designed to teach you lessons. Once you let go of that identity, you don't lose yourself, you uncover yourself. You return to the pure frequency that was always beneath the noise. The quantum shift doesn't happen with force. It happens in silence. It happens when you stop fighting your reality and start flowing with it. When you stop trying to fix the reflection and instead cleanse the mirror. All along, the universe was waiting for one simple thing, not your perfection, not your effort, but your surrender. It was waiting for you to stop identifying as the old observer, so it could finally reflect the limitless potential of who you are. When you let go of control, the energy that once felt heavy begins to move. What once seemed impossible starts unfolding naturally. People, opportunities, and synchronicities begin to align as if reality itself recognizes you again. And it does, because you've stepped back into harmony with your true vibration. Killing the old you isn't destruction, it's liberation. The person who doubted, who feared, who tried to control everything, thank them, release them, and let them dissolve, because they carried you as far as they could. The quantum shift begins the moment you stop carrying their weight. You don't rise by becoming more. You rise by shedding what you are not. The quieter you become, the more the field can speak through you. The more you trust, the faster the energy rearranges. The more you let go, the more you become everything you once chased. The shift is not out there, it's in your perception. It's in the space between your thoughts, in the stillness after you stop trying to force meaning. It's in the realization that the universe was never separate from you. It is you responding to your consciousness in perfect precision. So when you finally let go of who you were, when you stop replaying your old story, stop needing proof, stop grasping for validation, something miraculous happens. You become still enough for the field to show you who you've been all along. Infinite, radiant, unbreakable awareness, dancing as a human for a little while. The quantum shift is remembering. Remembering that you were never lost. Remembering that the power you sought was never missing. Remembering that every moment, every failure, every lesson was guiding you back to the source, to the truth that consciousness creates everything, and you are that consciousness. You are the observer, the creator, and the creation. When you finally let go of the old you, you return home to the still point in the center of all motion, where infinite possibilities unfold in silence, and from that silence, a new world is born. Let go. Trust the field, kill the illusion of separation, and watch how reality begins to move in your favor, not because it changed, but because you did. That is the quantum shift. The moment you stop chasing energy and become it, the moment you stop looking for signs and realize you were the signal all along.